Welcome to Movie Oubliette, the film review podcast for movies that most people have mercifully forgotten.
I'm Dan.
And I'm Conrad, and in each episode, we drag a forsaken film out of the oubliette,
Discuss it and judge it to decide whether it should be set free
or whether it should be thrown back and consigned to oblivion forever. We review the films others tend to forget. Come with us and open up the movie oubliette.
Hello. We're live.
Hello, everyone. We are.
Well, for those that don't know, we are Movie Oubliette, the continental connecting podcast with me, Dan, returned from camping through the high country and snowy mountains of Victoria and New South Wales, now down back in Melbourne, Australia.
And me, Conrad, in a very bare studio in Cambridge, UK.
In this podcast, or live stream now, we deliberate over genre films, horror, sci-fi, and fantasy, because nothing beats an hour and a half of vampires and witches kicking ass and exploding into fiery embers. Hello, Conrad. How are you?
Hello, Dan.
In this new medium.
I'm very well. Well, yeah, I'm slightly nervous but excited. 100 episodes, Dan.
Yes.
Can you believe it?
This is our 100th episode, so I've got the it's a party in here.
It is, yes. Everyone is welcome. So we've reviewed 98 films so far. One episode was a Christmas Ask Me Anything. We've set free 69 of them from the oubliette and thrown back 29. Are we doing a good job, do you think? Or are we too lax?
So. I think so.
I hope so.
Yeah. We do have a tendency towards the more obscure movies, though.
We do, yes. And we always try to find good things about them, which I think is great. That's what we set out to do. So it's pretty amazing, though.
So how's that studio going, Conrad?
Well, I'm halfway. So I'm sort of, all of the shelves have gone. But yes, the machinery is still here just for this live stream. And then over Easter, I'll be migrating into the garden. So that's exciting. And how is camping?
Camping was fun. I love getting away from the city and just roughing it for a bit. Two things that we did that is movie related. Whilst camping, we watched The Man from Snowy River in Corryong. And we also watched the movie Jingle in Jingle. So only Aussies will know the relevance of all of that. But yeah, it was fun. It's good to be back.
It sounds like that's something that should be done, though.
Yes, definitely.
Yes. Yeah. Okay.
So, what are we doing today, Conrad?
Well, let me just head on over to that oubliette to find out. Just one second.
All right.
God, 100 episodes in, you think we'd boil this thing. Okay,
I know,
right?
right?
I've got something.
Do you have got it? You've got
back.
it? Okay.
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah. Oh, thank goodness. Okay. I have with me a film called The Witch's Hammer. It's a 2006 low-budget British horror movie, directed by James Eaves and starring Claudia Coulter and Stephanie Beacham. So there we go.
All right. I guess let's get into it.
Do you want to know the synopsis?
Oh yes, sorry. What's this movie about, Conrad?
Okay, so loving wife and mum Rebecca is killed by a vampire whilst jaywalking down the middle of the street late one night and is brought back to life as a genetically engineered vampire and trained in martial arts by a secret agency called Project 571 to fight vampires and witches. When Project 571 is destroyed, Rebecca is recruited by the mysterious Madeline and a mansplaining exposition addict called Edward to stop the evil vampire and apparent boy band reject Hugo Renoir from obtaining the Witch's Hammer, an ancient spellbook he intends to use for some unspecified evil. Along the way, Rebecca and Edward are attacked by a bizarre parade of magical villains, each of which luckily appears immediately after Exposition Edward has narrated their backstory over a flashback. But Rebecca dispatches all of them immediately, usually with a striking pose in leather pants. But can Rebecca and Edward stop Hugo from whatever he's doing? Will they be double-crossed by someone who turns out to be his relative in a third act twist? Let's find out.
All right, Conrad. Well, today we have a special guest. He's a current staff member of the prestigious Cambridge University, music composer for Hit Record on TV, and co-host and music extraordinaire for Movie Oubliette podcast. Today we welcome to the show the very talented and impeccably dressed music composer for the film we will be discussing today, The Witch's Hammer. Welcome, Mr. Conrad Chambers.
Yes. Yet again, we have someone who worked on the film as part of the pod, and for the 100th episode special, it's me. Yeah, sorry about that.
It's you. It's you. So before I ask how you got involved, let's start with the title, The Witch's Hammer.
Yeah.
There's no apostrophe.
Missing something.
Yeah.
As a professional, I started off as an editor, a copy editor, and that bugged the hell out of me. I've been wanting to put a possessive on the end of witches all of my life. I did point it out to the director. There is an error in your title, and he said that it just makes it simpler for distributors, that they just didn't like it. So
didn't like the grammatical correctness of titles.
Not at all. No, so it's the plural witches hammer verb. They're all hammering for some reason.
The Witch's Hammer, yes.
Yeah.
I mean, there is, we'll get into it later, there is a bit of a lacking of witches in this movie and hammering. We'll get into that. So, Conrad, how did you get involved in this project, and what drew you to this film?
Well, it was my first film, so my first opportunity to score a feature film. My brother worked with the producer, Laura Tennant, and Laura and her partner, James Eves, were making a lot of movies in Southampton, but not for their day job. So it was evenings and weekends, zero budget movie making. And originally, they used to do it in concert with Johannes Roberts, who has gone on to a much bigger career. So they started off sort of co-directing, like the Coen brothers. So they did a movie called Sanitarium, featuring the Spoonbender, Uri Geller. 2 films, Alice and Hellbreeder, featuring Dominique Pignon from Delicatessen, a Juno Caro regular.
Yes.
And then Johannes went separately and did things like 47 Meters Down, Strangers Pray at Night, and most recently Resident Evil, Welcome to Raccoon City. And James Eves went solo and did things like this.
Yes.
And I was invited to do the score for it, and I thought, this is a great experience. Let's give it a go. And that was in 2002. The film came out in 2006. So it was a long slog.
Yeah, right. And can you explain to viewers or listeners out there how you made the music? Because it was a bit of a process, wasn't it?
It was. So back in 2006, I had MIDI keyboards, synthesizers, but I did not have a sampler that could estimate an orchestra. So the way that I would do it is that I would compose everything with synths, and then I would take samples from a company called East West. I still have all of the sample packs. They were on CDs. You'd burn the individual tracks, and then you'd copy and paste individual notes to replace each note the synthesizer was making by hand, one by one, track by track. It was painful. It took
Yes.
me about a week to do a minute.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh my God. And didn't you say you had to delete for each new cue? You had to delete it all and then back it up and then on CD and then start again.
Yeah, because back then hard drives weren't very big. So yeah, I could do one track at a time on my hard drive, and then I'd have to burn it into a CD-ROM, and then start a new one. So yeah, it was a long and painful process. So it was lucky that they were filming over the course of 3 years, because
Yeah.
it took me that long to sort of keep up with all the changing edits and so on. Yeah.
All right. Shall we get into the film itself?
Yes, let's. Did you spot themes and story and character arcs in this movie, Dan?
I didn't, but they did talk about it in the making of, and I was, a bit confused. I mean, this movie does have a striking resemblance to other films of the time. So,
Really?
so films like Resident Evil and Underworld and Blood Rain and yes, Blade, Doomsday. I mean, that alone, the posters, every single vampire poster back then had red as their base color. I mean, it makes sense. It does make sense.
It does.
But
yeah.
yes, this was the age of the kick-ass female lead, often in some sort of vampire, werewolf, zombie genre film. And yes, it looks very similar, very similar.
Doesn't it just? Yeah. So, I guess they were following a trend, and ladies with swords in tight trousers was the trend back then.
Yes. I mean, also Buffy the Vampire Slayer seemed to be a very huge influence on this film. But I do have to say, like, pre the 90s, female sort of action heroes didn't really exist. So even though this does seem like a trope and it's very cliche, it kind of had to happen.
Yeah, you're quite right, actually. It wasn't something that you saw a great deal. I mean, this also has a lot in common with La Femme Nikita, for example.
Yes.
Somebody being
Yes.
trained to be an assassin, which I think was the 80s, wasn't it? I remember the Bridget Fonda remake, but let's not remember that.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, no, yeah, best not. But it's, I suppose it is good to see, a cool, ass-kicking female lead character in a movie. It would be great if you could understand her dialogue, and if the choreography of the fight scenes were better. But there we go.
Yeah. So it does immediately come across as quite B grade, just from that, and also just the overall look. I don't know what it is. I don't know anything about cinematography and lighting really, but just from any frame in the movie just looks a little ugly at times, like odd lighting choices, odd framing choices. But when you do watch the making of, it does make sense why things look certain ways, because if you just zoom out just a little bit, it looks even worse. Like they would have a corner of a church to work with, and they couldn't really zoom out further than that.
No, it does show the signs of its limitations the whole way through. I think there was a lot of heart and a lot of effort put into it. And let's be honest, looking at the script, they really did go for an ambitious movie. I mean, this isn't like Cube, where it's one set and a small group of characters.
This is a lot of locations.
A lot of locations, 12 main characters, several different time periods, loads of flashbacks in different styles.
So many flashbacks, yes.
So many flashbacks. So it's ambitious what they attempted to achieve here, and so it's not surprising that you see that the production design couldn't stretch beyond a few meters directly in front of the camera.
Yes.
Sometimes, and also James was pretty determined to shoot on film, which in 2006 was quite a prospect for a low budget movie. This is 35mm film that he was shooting on, and he was trying to light and shoot on that. So often they would get one take and if nobody fell over and the set didn't fall over, cut, print, move on. Because film is expensive. It's like cripplingly expensive. So, yeah.
Yeah,
It
exactly.
speaks for itself, really.
And I'm assuming they edited digitally, like they would have had to transfer film to digital.
Yeah, it looks like it. Yeah, but I don't know. I don't know for sure.
Yeah, right. Yeah, some of the editing choices were odd to me and actually quite confusing, especially when on the first watch when we did the watch along.
Yeah.
Just certain scenes that I didn't realize were the same. Supposed to be the same location. I thought there were 3 intercut scenes, or certain things like when she goes after during the fight with the witches in that warehouse. It's one of those pointless fights. Like, why is she killing witches when she's gonna side with them? Okay. Anyway, she goes outside to grab her gun, but you never see the edit of her, like a close up of her grabbing the gun. So it looks like she just runs outside to cock the gun to run back inside. It's confusing. Like little editing things like that in the movie were very confusing on the first watch.
Yeah, I think she goes to collect her gun, which begs the question: why did she enter the warehouse just with her helmet in the first place and not with her gun? It seems an odd choice. I would have left the helmet with the bike, to be honest. But there we go.
Yeah. Also, that scene was confusing to me because they'd never shown the outside of like the headquarters of this agency previously, so I had no idea where she was. And so, especially on the first watch, like, who are these dead people on the ground? And then I realized on the second watch, but maybe I was just being a bit slow.
No, I don't think you were, Dan. I think the only reason that I know what was going on is because I'd seen it thousands of times and read the script.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
I think sometimes you get establishing shots in the weirdest places.
Oh,
though.
yes. The motel scene.
The motel scene, yeah. So you get the obligatory dream sequence where Edward dreams that Madeline is getting rather familiar with him, and then he has
odd.
It's odd. It's completely unmotivated, and then he has a vampire shock, and then he wakes up and looks at a matchstick book that identifies the motel. And just in case you were worried that he was being tricked and that this wasn't the motel, we cut to the outside of the motel to look at a sign of the motel.
But it's
just
not
so
even
you're sure.
It's not even the motel itself. It's a sign on a random road advertising the motel.
Yeah.
They didn't have the rights to just shoot the exterior of the motel. I don't know.
Probably not. No.
Yeah.
So there you go. There are some odd choices. One of my favorite establishing shots. I delivered a piece of music called "In the Church of Le Cardinal," and there is an establishing shot. Le Cardinal, yeah. And there is an establishing shot for that holds for, I think it's 20 seconds it holds for. And every time I toll a bell on the score, it just cuts to slightly closer. It's like, that is
like
not the way I
cut,
scored it. Yeah, that is not the way I scored it. It's not the way it was intended. So I don't know. James loved the music and just couldn't resist. I don't know. I couldn't tell you.
I remember that establishing shot. It just seemed to go on forever and for no
it's
reason.
Like 20 minutes. No, it's 20 seconds, but it feels like 20 minutes.
Yes. So we did talk briefly about the fight choreography. It's. I mean, on one hand, it's lit very well. Like you can see that everything that's going on. It's not just a big blurry flurry of punches and close-ups. At times it is, but for the most part, you can see what's going on. On the other hand, you can see everything that's going on, even when punches don't connect, and even when people are falling over for no reason. It does come across as a little bit unconvincing.
Yeah, or sometimes they fall over in the background into a crouching position and then just decide to stay there.
Yeah.
Squatting, which must burn the thighs. So I'm perplexed as to why you would choose to do that. Unless, yeah, I don't know. There's something interesting on the floor that they're looking at. Maybe they're checking their phone. I don't know. Yeah. So not all of the punches land. The thing is, you can tell that the choreography's good. It's by a guy called Chris Tanaka, and you can tell there's an intent there. It's complex. It's interesting. There are lots of movements going on. The camera's in the right place. The editing is right. It's just that they needed 3 or 4 takes to get it really snappy, where they have the muscle memory to do it without hitting each other. But we don't get that. We get take 1. Just, because they couldn't keep rolling film all the time. So...
Yeah, the fight choreographer ended up being in the film as well. He's the henchman of Hugo that has that fight scene with Rebecca. I actually forgot the protagonist's name when I was writing out my notes, because her name's only really mentioned at the start.
Yes.
Which drink would you like, Rebecca?
Yes. Yes. Instead of red pill, blue pill, it's pint of water, pint of blood, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. The beverage choices in this movie. I mean, in the pub as well, there are only 2 choices: orange juice or cranberry juice. It seems. And no ice, no straws, nothing. It just looks like a pint of orange juice.
Yeah, and even more miraculous, it's a British pub with table service, which I've never experienced.
Oh, you've never... Oh, okay. Oh, interesting.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe it's meant to be in America. Maybe that's what it is.
Yeah. Watching the behind the scenes making of, it is quite obvious that the actors would arrive on set and not really know what was going on, and the director was pretty much narrating blocking, which I found very... It just seemed like no one knew what was going on or how the scenes were gonna... They didn't do any rehearsals or anything. So the director would just say, now walk on screen and look this way, and then pick up this. And then, so I feel really sorry for whoever mixed this, which would have had to replace all of the audio, because the director is talking in every take.
Yeah, with really useful directions along the lines of, you're looking at that and you're thinking, what's that?
Yeah. Although one scene, it does work, and it's purely because there isn't any dialogue, and that is the black and white flashback scene to Tudor England, I guess. It looked good. But it does work in terms of a director narrating said actions.
That's a scene that I really enjoy, actually. And oddly enough, for that I composed a waltz that's very sort of Danny Elfman-esque. And apparently, because it was composed prior to filming, I believe it was played on set while they were filming. Because there's no dialogue. Yeah.
Yeah. I loved that flashback. I thought it was just like a really nice, self-contained, like short film almost.
It's very funny. I mean, let's talk. I mean, if we talk about the tone of the film, to begin with, I got the sense that it was supposed to be like deathly serious. It's one of those straight-to-video rental red cover movies that's all swords and tightly clad butt cheeks, and it's serious stuff. And but halfway through, this movie decides just to have fun, and when it does, it starts to take off. Actually, I think it's some of the intentional comedy is intentionally funny.
Yes, I would agree. I felt like if it leaned more into sort of black comedy horror, like Sam Raimi films, or like early Peter Jackson, or like Stuart Gordon movies, like really lean into the B grade. It could have been a really enjoyable sort of watch, but all the serious stuff was so cringy. Like, I did really like the intentional comedy, but some of those. I mean, it was going for a style and aesthetic, I guess.
Yeah, and sometimes it tries to sort of do the grandiose thing and then undercut it with a bit of comedy. So, the big bad guy, Hugo, summoning the souls of the damned, and then his grandmother interrupts. But the trouble is the grandiose parts aren't grandiose enough for the contrast to fully work, I don't think. But still, the intent is there. And a lot of the times it pays off.
Yeah. I mean, having that many flashbacks as well really does kind of stifle the kind of momentum of the film. Like, if you're going to have that many, just make it like an anthology film. Like, make it so that you have some really great little short, like, films joined together, rather than having it felt like it was interrupting the main movie.
Yeah, it does. And as I sort of alluded to in my synopsis for the movie, it is quite strange that you get these lengthy introductions to these characters that are just immediately dispatched as soon as they come up against Rebecca.
Yeah,
So,
either immediately dispatched or you never see them until the end of the film. Like Victor, he doesn't do anything until the last fight scene. It's like, what? Who is this guy again? Like when he appears, it's so strange because you don't establish anything about him. He's just the guy with the mustache.
yeah, and he's not a very imposing presence, really. But I mean, it's okay. There are some third act revelations in there that are, I think they reach for surprise and they sort of work if you've been able to track everything that's happened beforehand. But that's a bit of a challenge.
All right, well, let's talk about characters and acting. I don't know any of these actors, not even Stephanie Beacham.
Not even Stephanie Beacham. She was a British actress that excelled at being like a total bitch in things like Dynasty and The Colbys for many years in the 80s. So the rival to Dallas. I don't know whether you watched any of these soapy American things. Well, yeah, she was in that, and she's also in one of the Dracula movies, Dracula AD 1972, I think.
Okay.
So yeah, she's been in a horror movie before, and she did this really as a favor to a burgeoning film director, just to, to pay back to the next generation, which was very sweet of her, just filming evenings and weekends, probably not for very much.
Yeah, in the making of, they said she only did 4 days of filming.
Wow. Okay.
Which is impressive. She does have a presence in the movie. Doesn't feel like really 4 days.
Yeah, I mean, there's you've got a pro there who's used to daytime soaps. So if you say you've only got one take, she's going to nail it, and she does. I mean, there's some really lovely moments in there from Stephanie Beacham. I particularly like when she has that scene with Charlotte and Oscar where they ambush her in her own flat, I think. I'm not entirely sure. She just seems to be walking into a hovel in the darkness in a glittery outfit for some reason. But anyway, they attack her in her own home, I think, and Oscar makes some crack about her missing an eye because she's wearing an eye patch throughout the whole thing. And she doesn't do a full eye roll. There's just this, I don't know what she does with her face, but it's this tiny micro reaction to it that tells you that this is just tedious, but it's really small and it really picks up on screen. So yeah, she's a pro.
Yeah. Whereas the other actors, so I mean, to be fair, like Claudia Coulter, she did pretty well with what she had to work with. I think it's all ADR'd as well. So I think her voice is all just done and dubbed over in post. And she's got an accent in the movie, which she doesn't have in the making of. Like, why not just have her speak in the normal English accent?
Yeah, I don't really know. She's a model, I know that, so perhaps not acting wasn't her first calling. But she looks great, and she clearly really put everything into the fight scenes, for example. She went for it, so that's commendable. But yeah, it seems like she struggles with the dialogue, and not all of it is audible either. I couldn't hear all of it.
Yeah, and I mean, especially if it's dubbed over, it makes no sense. Like, why not?
No.
Just turn it
up. A bit louder. Yeah. I wish they turned the music up here and there as well, but maybe that's just a composer's bias.
No, I wish the music was a bit louder. The fight scenes, especially, it seems like it's barely even audible. And the only part where the music really had time to shine was in that black and white flashback. Like it really worked there.
Yeah, because I wasn't competing with anything there apart from sound effects. So yeah.
So this movie does have over reliance for post production. So we've talked about sound, a lot of CGI in this movie, but not great CGI.
No, I mean it's not Lawnmower Man.
No,
level of
it's not
CGI.
ugly. Yeah, it's not
No.
fluoro colors.
I mean it's not a complete failure. I mean it's 3D particle physics, and it reminds me a lot of Buffy. It looks like TV CGI, where the stuff that you have to turn around really quickly at standard definition. But for a 35mm film, it struggles a bit in comparison with bigger budget movies, I guess.
Yeah. I think Melinda mentioned it was very Xena-esque, and
Right.
it was.
Okay, I've never seen Xena. I really shouldn't I?
Yeah,
Maybe
it doesn't
not?
age very well. Like, it
Okay.
was fun at the time. I watched it when I was a kid, and because it was filmed in New Zealand, I was quite, a little bit proud of it being from New Zealand. But watching it now, it's hard watch. It's very slapsticky.
Okay.
Lots of like cartoony sound effects. A lot of flipping. There was no flipping in this movie. Actually, I expected. We've got martial arts and fight scenes. There's no flipping. Want some flipping?
No, but you get the sense that they're very, very careful of the flaws, because whenever anybody dies, they're either on bubble wrap or a sheet. Have you noticed that?
Yeah, the bubble wrap killed me. It's for some reason every time there are guns, there's also bubble wrap to protect the guns.
Yes. Yeah. Well, they're a rare thing in the UK. You don't see them very often.
Is it guns or bubble wrap?
Guns. No, don't worry. We have bubble wrap.
All right.
Yeah.
Yeah. What else can we talk about? I don't know.
Looking at the CGI.
Yeah, I things that I thought worked. The female lead wasn't sexualized. Like, there weren't any butt shots or cleavage shots.
No, she has a habit of unzipping her top at
Yes.
interesting
A lot of
moments.
I mean, yeah, but it wasn't overly, I don't know, gross or creepy. There were a lot of striking of poses and hair flips, and I mean that pose after the mask fight scene is odd. It's an odd choice. So let's see it.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, it's an odd choice. They must have deliberated about that for a while, or maybe it's improvised. I'm not sure.
I think it's a very deliberate yoga pose of some description. It probably has a name. I don't know what it is, not being a proponent of yoga myself. But, I mean, good on her. I mean, and her knees. I couldn't do that without being in traction the day after. So, I mean...
Yeah. And another thing I liked about a film, I think someone mentioned in the watch along, the fact that the male, I don't know, support wasn't just another action hero. He was kind of the damsel in this movie. He was to a point where I didn't really know why he was in this movie, apart from exposition explaining of plot points. He didn't do a lot.
Yeah, he's a veritable geyser of exposition, isn't he, Edward?
Yes.
But he's probably the only character that has an arc. I mean, I really tried to hone in on that final scene where he's getting a beating from Victor. I turned in like a cue that was dirge-like, as though this is really sad. This guy's just found out that his wife was killed by Stephanie Beacham, or at least she arranged it, and this guy is the guy who did it, and he's just beating him to death slowly. And I thought, this is, some real pathos here. So, I went for it with his character, but I thought it was kind of sad that Rebecca invites him to do some more exposition. I think this is exposition burst number 4 of 6 that I counted. And he does his own backstory about his wife being killed by a vampire and then coming back as a vampire and attacking him. And Rebecca, who's in her coffin on the train, pretends that she's asleep after he's finished telling his story. Rude.
I know. I mean, her character arc was odd because you never really saw her before. Like she seemed a little bit, I guess, feeble and weak when she's training, and she doesn't kill that guy. He doesn't die. It's disappointing. But then she's just suddenly cold and just, I don't know. It's such a strange. You never see her before. I noticed as well in all the flashbacks with her husband and son, she's not in the flashbacks. So I don't feel anything. It just looks like we're seeing, I don't know, stock footage of father and son. Like I don't see any connection with her.
No, I mean, I tried to generate pathos for her while she's stood under the shade of the tree watching her family with her vampire-saving sunglasses that seem to protect her from everything. But yeah, it's tricky because I don't know. Like you say, you don't get a sense of what her life was like before or how painful this is for her. And then the family's gone for the whole movie. And I don't even know if she went back to them at the end. I don't know what happens at the end, really. She just wanders off out of frame with a book under her arm. So I don't know.
Yes.
So I don't know what the arc is there.
Going back, let's go back to the book. So the book is called The Witch's Hammer. Is that right? Because I didn't get that until the second watch. That the book is called The Witch's Hammer because they only mention it once and they never refer to it as The Witch's Hammer ever again.
Malleus Maleficarum, I'm probably pronouncing that horribly wrong. Yeah, but that's the book. She writes The Witch's Hammer after hammering somebody.
Yes.
Catania. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. It's an odd choice for a title as well because there aren't that many witches in the movie,
no,
and not a lot of hammering, so it's confusing.
It is confusing, and when the witches do show up, they seem to be sort of flippy things with staves and balls, glowing balls, which wasn't what I was expecting from witches, but there we go.
No.
And then Stephanie Beecham turns full emperor at the end and starts sort of bolting
the lightning.
Edward on the floor, which is great.
Yeah.
Yeah, different. It wasn't what I was expecting. But I never really got a sense of what the witch's hammer was meant to do or why it was important.
So they were trying to resurrect some lost souls of the damned or something. I did really like those cloaked figures. I thought they were really terrifying.
They were pretty cool. Yeah, the mouths, the weird mouths that are superimposed over the top and the glowing eyes. Yeah, it's not too bad, is it? I mean, it looks like they're wearing your grandma's curtains, but it's not bad.
I like them.
I think.
I like them. Yeah, they were puppets. What was confusing though, because I watched when you watch the making of, they're actually incredibly tall. They're huge.
Yeah.
They look like they're 2-3 meters tall. But in the movie, because of how it's shot, Hugo isn't looking upwards. He's looking directly flat. And so it appears that they're the same height as normal humans.
Yeah, or smaller because he's crouched over a candle the whole time. So and there's no shot to show over the shoulder shot to show them sort of cowering over him. No.
It's why even make them that huge if you're going to film it like that and edit it?
Yeah, because it made the puppeteering really awkward. But It's just time. I'm sure it's just time. They just couldn't get all the shots that they wanted on the day, so we ended up with the shots that they got. So
right,
yeah,
okay,
yeah, the thrills of low budget movie making, I guess.
But how was it as an experience for you, like filming, scoring it?
Well, I got on really well with Jim. I mean, he's a really nice guy and really enthusiastic. He always pushed me to do more and make the music bigger, and he was always really enthusiastic about the cues I sent back. It was a long slog. It was 4 years of revisions and revisions and revisions.
Wow.
And then it came out, and I was just proud that I'd done so much music. It was briefly released by Movie Score Media. And you can get the score online if you really want to. It's on Spotify and iTunes and so on. But
Yes.
so I'm glad I did it. Yeah, the movie speaks for itself, I guess. That's a good way of saying it.
Yeah. Would you score another movie, Conrad?
But probably not. I really enjoyed scoring short films for Hit Record, so I would do short subjects, but
Right.
yeah, no, I don't think so.
It is a lot of work. I think people don't realize how much work goes into a feature length.
It's a lot of work, and I didn't get paid.
Oh, wow. So it was
A sum of money was mentioned. A sum of money was mentioned.
Okay.
I'm still checking my bank account. Didn't show up. So
Okay.
there you go. And on that bombshell, I think it's time that we go into our next segment.
Oh, yes.
Now it's time for Random Trivia.
Hey, it's the Movie Awards. It's where we artificially resurrect our favorite kick-ass, techno-pumping parts of the film in a number of
dance.
bloody, hammering
You're introducing
categories.
the wrong thing, Dan. It's
what?
random trivia time.
Of course it is. Of course it is.
The
I
thrills
thought
of doing
I
things
thought we
live.
rehearsed this. Hang on.
It's fine. It's fine.
Okay.
Let's-
Well, Conrad, what bewitching piece of trivia did you find in an ancient tomb scribbled in sign letters today?
Okay, well, just one little bit of trivia that isn't in the making of, which is because I'm not in the making of, even though I recorded loads of stuff for it. But there was another composer working on the film originally. They were supposed to do all of the techno fight scenes, and I was supposed to do all of the orchestral, emotional scenes. We were talking to each other. We were talking about sharing motifs so that one would blend into the other. But when his first cue came in for the warehouse fight, the director wasn't exactly thrilled with it. And I'd been doing the training cues up until that point, the sort of Massive Attack style trip hoppy things.
Sure.
He said, "Well, why don't you try the fight scenes?" So I did, and then I was doing all of the music. So there you go. I replaced someone. There's an experience.
And then they mixed you very low.
Yes, so you can't hear it. But there you go. And that is our trivia.
Yes.
Coming to you live from the Movie Oubliette Theatre, it's the prestigious Movie Awards.
So, just got to get right the segment. It is the Movie Awards this time.
It is.
Yes, it's where we. I mean, you've already heard it, but it's where we artificially resurrect our favorite kick-ass, techno-pumping parts of the film in a number of bloody hammering categories. And
Yes.
joining us today on the live stream for the segment is a repeat podcast offender, social media commissioner for Movie Oubliette, filmmaker and purveyor of giggles. It's Isaac Sashin.
Hey! Woohoo! So glad to be here. Thanks for inviting me on.
It's so great to have you here, Isaac. How are you doing?
I'm doing fantastic, you know? Just living my life watching incredible vampiric masterpieces, you know, in my free time. And yeah.
Good for you. Good for you. So, because there are three of us and we're live and we want to keep tight on time, I thought it would be fun if you guys nominated your favorite parts of the film and roast me a little bit. So, I will be announcing the categories for you. So, best of luck. Let's kick it off with best quote.
Do you want to take this one or should I?
I mean, I did like, which drink would you like, Rebecca? Because it's just so ridiculous, that scene. But I did also like when Rebecca and Edward are having a bit of a heart-to-heart, and I guess she says, oh, we should probably get some rest. We've got a big day tomorrow, and she tucks herself into the coffin, and then she just blurts out, I'm not tired, tell me a story. Like she's an 8-year-old girl. So it's just ridiculous.
There's so many good quotes. I literally could fill the IMDb quote page up. I went and wrote so many notes.
Yes.
My favorite, I mean, he chose the wrong senorita. It's one that's really good. There's one moment where Oscar, the little person vampire, goes, naughty lady, to Stephanie Beacham's character. Glorious. But my favorite quote in the film is when they're talking about the cardinal, who is like the keeper of the witch's hammer book. Yes. And they do this line of exposition that's like, ah, yes, the cardinal, pronounced Le Cardinal.
Yeah.
It's just nonsense. It's so funny.
It's ridiculous. It's just like, I'm just going to pronounce it in a Spanish accent. It makes it much more exotic.
It's nothing, though. It's nothing. And it sounds exactly the same.
It sounds exactly the same.
It's so
ridiculous.
Anyway. I love that he follows it up with, the Cardinal hails from France. No shit, Sherlock.
Oh my god.
Oh my. Okay. Best hair or costume?
I mean, it's got to be Hugo's Abomination. I mean, what is going on here? What is going on? What is this?
A mess.
It's like a bowl cut with tribal shavings, and then it's got strange bleach tips in weird places.
Yeah.
You've got to have frosted tips. It's the Naughties.
Yeah.
But it's not even spiked. It's not even spiked. It's flat.
Yeah. Watching the making of, apparently he went to a student barber. So it was a student having a go. Why? Why would you do this for a film? I don't know.
Stephanie Beacham's eye patch is a close second, though, with the feathers. I mean, it's nuts.
Yes.
It's all nuts.
Yeah.
Yes.
Should definitely get an honourable mention that. Okay. Speaking of the naughties, most naughtiest moment.
Did you want to go first, Isaac?
Sure, I'll go. I mean, this movie wears its time period on its sleeve, doesn't it? Like, it's very naughties. I would say the belly button cleavage, incredibly naughties. Kind of making a comeback now. Cell phones, very naughties. But also just like the premise of a badass vampire hunter person, like y'all were saying, that's like extreme naughties, you know? That's not coming around again. So
yeah, I mean,
it's a good quote.
So many films in between 2000 and 2010, like including like stuff like Eon Flux and Ultraviolet, Elektra, Lara Croft. So many of those films had pretty much the same premise.
It's the Matrix vibes, but with supernatural elements.
Exactly. my choice for Naughties, I would say the jarring flashback cuts. It's just like really quick cuts with like stupid, like loud whooshes and sound effects over it. Because so Naughties.
Yeah, none of those stingers are mine, I hasten to add. Particularly the one where you get this flash cut of Rebecca's family and there's a stinger on it. And you think, her family is not a shocking memory for her.
I know.
It's supposed to be happy.
Exactly.
Yeah. Okay. Favorite scene?
I've already mentioned mine. I really did like the black and white Tudor era flashback silent movie scene. It just really worked. It had good comedy, good music, good over dramatic silent movie type acting. I think it worked.
Yeah, it's definitely the best scene. Yes, I would say it's the best technical scene. I would say it's not my favorite scene.
What was your favorite?
My favorite scene is when Oscar and Charlotte kill all the clowns because you're watching this just regular film. Like it's low grade. It's B level horror comedy-esque, not really. And then all of a sudden you enter a clown massacre out of nowhere, and it's so jarring. And they squeak the clowns' noses before they kill them, and it's so funny. I love the clown killing scene. It's fantastic.
Right. I feel like that was the point where it really tonally shifted in the movie. It went from a very serious film to like a very funny film. Yeah.
My theory is that Oscar and Charlotte make this film. They are the true stars of The Witch's Hammer.
Yeah. It's odd though, because their sort of two attributes aren't really conveyed very well. No. So Oscar's supposed to be an acrobatic, nimble, quick, moving character, but you never see him doing that. You just see him kind of hobbling in the background. And Charlotte's supposed to be huge, but she looks the same height as everyone else. So I'm confused.
Yes, they're wonderfully confusing, Dan. It's like House, like the Japanese film House, or like The Room. Like they're beautifully confusing. I eat it up with the spoon.
Okay, biggest fantasy, horror, or action cliche?
I got one.
Yes, go.
The very end of the film, after they defeat Madeline or whatever, she literally goes, "No!"
Yes.
So good.
You have to.
You have
the
to.
Supervillain has to scream no.
Definitely.
I would go with vampire cliches, because every time a vampire is on screen, they have to bare their teeth, make hissy noises, and have their eyes flash every single time. But that's vampires for you.
So true.
So true. I point out a couple of action movie ones that I noted down. One is the car won't start when the villain is coming towards you.
Or the door won't open. Yep.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And at one point, I think Rebecca, she fires 6 shots and then loses the gun. And I thought, oh, well done, 6 shots, you got that right. But then later on, Edward picks up the same gun and fires 2 shots out of it. So obviously somebody in the sewer reloaded it and put it back on the floor, which is very considerate of them. So that's great. I love that.
It is.
Best special effect.
There's so many good. I keep stepping on you, Dan. I'm sorry.
Yeah. I've already mentioned mine. I'm just going to quickly the souls of the damned, the puppetry, the glowing eyes, the teeth. I think they really worked. They were very terrifying. I wish they'd made them look taller, but yeah.
True. Yeah, the souls of the damned were very very good. Again, that's not the route I went with my best special effect.
Yes.
I liked so many of the special effects. There's one scene with a giant syringe full of hair gel. There's a scene with
huge syringe.
huge, literally a horse syringe. There's a scene with like a JPEG of a knife stabbing into another JPEG of a heart.
I love that. It doesn't even look like a knife. It just looks like a triangle.
It's a triangle. But the best special effect is every time they shoot somebody in this film, they turn into a 3D skeleton with particle effects, and it literally rules. I love it. I love it. It's premium B grade 2000s. I watching it the first time when they first shoot somebody, I was like, oh, there's a skeleton out of nowhere, and surprising, fun. I loved it.
I liked it even when Rebecca jams a motorcycle helmet on top of somebody, that turns up into a glowing thing of particle effects as well. Because she stabbed someone. Okay, fair enough.
Everybody's got particle blood.
Yeah. Best sound effect?
Jumping off the particle effects, I did actually like the sound effects of them exploding into embers. Like it had a nice sizzle. Well, it worked.
Yeah, it did. It did. I liked the clown honks when they were murdering all the clowns.
You're just obsessed with murdering clowns.
Oh, the clown murder.
I really hate clowns.
The clown murder is so good. I mean, I've never seen better clown murder in any film. Truly.
Yeah.
And finally, I have a feeling where Isaac's going to go with this, but funniest scene.
I wrote notes for this segment. I wrote a full page of funniest moments.
Wow.
I think
we could do that as a Patreon extra.
We can do it as a Patreon extra. I'm not going to read them all, but I like the tarot cards. So when we first meet like the secret coven of witches that is trying to kill the ultimate vampire, the way they tell the backstory of killing the ultimate vampire is through tarot cards, and the tarot cards they flip over look like they have Napoleon Dynamite style drawings on them.
Yeah.
And it's so good. It's premium comedy. I mean, I probably, that one's probably unintentional. You know, it comes just above the clown killings for me. Is the Napoleon Dynamite tarot cards. But what about you, Dan?
My funniest scene, it is definitely intentional. It's just so good. It's when Edward is trying to find a weapon in the kitchen to fight Oscar, and he's going through all these drawers, pulling out these drawers, and they're just like jam-packed full of spoons and forks. Just far too many spoons and forks in any kitchen. And he's like, where are the knives? And he picks up a frying pan and leaves the kitchen, and then the door closes and the back of the door is just covered in knives. It's so good. It's hilarious.
Yeah. That's probably my favorite as well. A close second would be Charlotte's father face palming after she dies at the dinner table.
He's so distraught.
If somebody dies, you just face palm. That's
it's like killed another one of my offspring. Damn it!
Damn. And that is our Mooblies. So it's final verdict time, Dan.
It is final verdict time. Should 2006's The Witch's Hammer be released from its immortal bounds to wield katana swords and be adored by all, or should it be stabbed in the eye patch and be turned into CGI dust, shuffled back into the oubliette to be lost forever? Gentlemen, let's bring down our final hammer verdicts for The Witch's Hammer.
Okay,
Well,
Isaac, do you want to go first?
Yeah, I'll go first. I mean, I have a hard time deciding whether or not I'm gonna release this one on a personal basis. I mean, it's a joy, it's a tragedy. Like, two sides of the same coin, right? I'd probably say keep it. I don't know. You did a pass once, correct, Conrad? I kind of want to do a pass as well, because it truly is both. Watching it, I had such a great time, right? So I can't really condemn it, but I don't think I would polish it off to go and show every single person I knew at the same by the same token. So I want to pass.
Oh, wow.
Okay, so that would be parking it in the movie vestibule, as one of our commenters on Twitter suggested. So, what about you, Dan?
Yeah, I mean, I think it had a lot of potential. It's definitely not original by any stretch. It's riding very hard on the coattails of many sort of late 90s and early 2000s movies. I just wish if the acting and the effects and the cinematography were a bit better, or if they just leaned more into the comedy, it could have been a really, really good movie. I did like the music. Bit biased, of course.
You don't have to say that. You can hate the music if you hate it.
but yeah, I think amongst all of those, the plethora of female-led genre films, action genre films, and at that time, this really does fall short. So I'm afraid I would throw it back in.
Yeah, I mean, I have a very a soft spot in my heart for the movie because it's the first movie I attempted to do a film score on. I think it's ambitious in terms of its script, in terms of all the locations and all the characters. But I have to say the shortcomings of the resources, I think they do show. And I think the film it struggles to be enjoyable because it's so tricky to follow what's going on. So, regrettably, although I did work on this movie and I did enjoy working with you, James Eves, I wouldn't recommend this to anybody. I just couldn't. So I would throw it back in for our 100th episode.
Yes.
So, Dan, would you like to do the honours?
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
All right. I'm just picking up. Okay. All right. I'm struggling a bit.
No, let me go.
All right.
That's a relief.
Rest in peace.
Yeah, rest in peace. Yeah.
So we're now into our extra section for this 100th episode special, and to kick off, we were running a competition to let people win some of our fabulous merchandise, which is available to purchase on Redbubble. So we have 3 sets of t-shirts and mugs to give away, and I believe, Dan, you have the list of randomly chosen winners.
Yes. These are completely random. We have video evidence
Of me spinning the wheel of names.
Yes. I don't think we're going to play it on stream, but we have our winners here. We have Reese Indigo, Kevin from Planet X, and Phil Uncle Phil. There we go.
Congratulations,
3 winners,
guys. Yay. We'll be in touch to ask you about sizes and postage and so on. So congratulations. I hope you enjoy the merch.
Yes.
And also, for a bit of fun, we thought that it would be good for you guys to have a chance to decide which film we do for episode 101. And in this case, we were given 2 films by the Australian Blu-ray label, Via Vision, who have an imprint label. They sent us Conquest of Space. Sorry, left is right and right is left. Conquest of Space, which is a 1955 science fiction film that apparently might have influenced Stanley Kubrick's 2001, but I've never seen it, so who knows. And we have Audrey Rose, which is a 70s supernatural resurrection thriller with Anthony Hopkins in the lead role. So quite interesting options there. So I am going to post a poll in the comments section on YouTube. So let me just hit that button, see if that goes live, and hopefully everybody can vote, and at the end of the show we'll let you know which one you went for.
Yes.
Nice.
Exciting. And for the last section of the show, we thought that we would do an Ask Us Anything and just kick back and relax and have a bit of fun. And for that, we thought we ought to bring on somebody else to ask us questions. So our second special guest today is a writer, a filmmaker, video essayist extraordinaire, and was our first ever guest way back on episode 8 on Capricorn 1. It is, of course, Serge Bonarchuk of Cod Crash Pictures. Hello, Serge.
Hey, hello,
Hi.
Ted.
How's it going?
Welcome back.
It's so exciting to have you here.
Thanks for inviting me. It's fun to be back. Before my customary summer guest spot.
Yes, we'll be asking you what your film choice is going to be pretty soon, I'm sure. What are you working on at the moment? Is there another video essay on the editing table at the moment?
Hopefully, yeah, within another, optimistically, next weekend. I'll have my next video essay up 2 weeks at the most. And then I'll be doing a really, really big essay after that. That is kind of like I've got a deadline for it that's not self-imposed. It's supposed to premiere in connection with something else, which is exciting. I'm hoping it is a motivating influence, not a terrifying one.
Well, good luck. I can't wait to see what that turns out to be.
So you invited me to host a little AMA, so I've got some questions for you. It looks like the
fire
viewers,
away.
the patrons came through. There's a lot to get through. So here we go. Suzanne asks, how did you two meet?
Do you want to tell the story, Dan?
Well, there's a website. There's a website called Hit Record. It's actually also how we met Isaac as well. So,
Yeah.
it's co-founded by Joseph Gordon-Levitt, and it's like a production company thing. It's changed quite a lot since then, so we're not really on it that much anymore. But we used to collaborate on there, and yeah, we met through the internet, and the rest is history.
The legend of movie oubliettes. Play them out.
Speaking of that history, the next question, Eddie Coulter asks, when did the idea of the show take form?
I think it was me to begin with. I mean, we knew we wanted to do a podcast, didn't we?
Yeah, we always had the common ground of loving sort of more obscure films and talking about a lot of sort of B grade or forgotten 80s films. So we just wanted a way to talk about that in a medium, and being able to do all the jingles and stuff because we're both musicians was really appealing, I think. So it kind of just started as an idea, and it has grown. Like if you listen to the first episode, we didn't really know what we were doing at all.
Don't listen to the first episodes. It gets good around episode 8 when Serge shows up. Yeah, but I mean, in terms of the format, I think the title Movie Oubliette came from me because I'm a huge fan of Labyrinth, and the word oubliette I learned from Hoggle. It's a place you put people to forget about them. So that's where that comes from. And I had the format of we would have a verdict. One of us would show the other one a film the other one hasn't seen, and then we'd have a verdict to decide whether it should go back in or stay. But the pièce de résistance, the Moobly Awards, which actually makes the episodes fun, that's 100% Dan. That's it.
Yeah. I mean, that was such a last minute idea as well. I think like the day before we recorded, I thought, no, let's do this. And then back then we didn't have the announcements. Like it was very it's just like that's an idea we could possibly run with.
Yeah. So we just it just grew, and and now it is what it is today.
Well, Redma61 asks, it's a two-parter. I'm gonna ask the first part first, which is, have you ever met each other in person?
Oh,
We have.
Yes, just once. Just once.
Yeah.
Which country was it in?
It was in the UK. Dan came all
was
the way
UK.
to UK, Norfolk, to another Hitch Recorder's house. We sat outside and had a barbecue, and we had a really great day. And I can confirm, if anyone is curious, Dan is much taller than you think he'll be, and a great hugger. So there you go.
I would say Conrad's also taller than you think as well. And I think it was during me and my wife's honeymoon. So I think the year previous we got married, but we kind of spent a year just saving up, and then we went on this massive European trip. Because my sister actually lives in Italy, so we went to like 9 countries in Europe or something. I can't remember. It was a lot of countries, and the UK was on that trip.
Yeah. Back in the days when we could go places.
Yeah, those were the days.
And then Redma61, the second question they have is, do you both like sushi?
Of course I do. I love sushi.
I'm vegan, so no. I was converted to veganism during the pod, unbelievably.
By a guest, right?
By a guest, yeah, the director of The Clove Hitch Killer, Duncan Skiles. I always research our guests, and his YouTube channel is a vegan channel. And so I was watching all this and thinking, oh, actually, I could give this a try. And 3 years later, 3 years later, I'm still going strong. So
Yeah, there
you go.
is vegan sushi. It doesn't always have to have fish in it.
no, that's true. I have had some. It's very nice.
Okay.
Next question from, I don't know if I'm pronouncing this right, Isaac Souton.
Yeah, you nailed it. Nailed
Okay.
it.
It's, what episode are you the most proud of? And what jingle are you the most proud of?
Oh, wow.
Oh, so many jingles. I can't even. I think jingle-wise, I was the most proud of Flight of the Navigator. I think I nailed that jingle in terms of trying to get the sounds exactly right. But episode-wise, I think just I guess most recently Mothman Prophecies I was really proud of. I thought it was a really good interview with Mark Pellington, director of Mothman Prophecies. Good discussion, just a good film as well to talk about. Some of the films we talk about are kind of hard slog, but that one was fun.
Yeah, that's a good choice. For
Do you
me,
have a
I think
favorite
it
episode?
was. I do, yeah. I think it's probably Explorers, but it's solely because it's a film that I love dearly. That it was great to show it to Dan for the first time because he had never seen it before, and to hear his completely different, fresh take on it, which made me see it with new eyes, which was one of the things I love about the pod. But also, I got to speak to Robert Picardo, and that was just. He's just such a wonderful, wonderful man, and so entertaining and so generous with his time. I think he booked 30 minutes with me, but we talked for well over an hour because he was enjoying himself, and he was late for his dinner appointment, but he just kept talking. So yeah, I have a very fond memories of that one. And in terms of jingle, I would say Return to Oz, because it's a beautiful, complex score by the London Symph, and I think I managed to pull it off, which was, quite something. So I was proud of that.
Yeah.
Good stuff.
Well, Nick Hardy says, first of all, congrats on the 100 episodes.
Yeah,
And then
thanks,
he
Nick.
says,
Thanks.
He's been there since the beginning, I think.
He says, if we assume that James Horner's score for Krull is the greatest musical score in movie history, what would be the second best or your all-time favorite score?
Oof, it's tricky. What would you say, Dan?
I mean, this might be a really obvious answer. I mean, judging from that minisode that we did where we watched our favorite movie, but I do really love the score to Eternal Sunshine of a Spotless Mind. I think it's an amazing score by John Bryan, very understated, emotional, simple, but sort of quirky at the same time. In terms of iconic scores that I really love, I do really love the Batman score by Danny Elfman. It's just that theme gets me every time. It's so amazing.
Yeah, and then you compare it to modern superhero movies. It's like, is there a theme in here?
Yeah.
Yeah. I think 2 notes, I think, is all we get in The Batman, but never mind.
Well, we get the same Nirvana song twice.
Yeah.
That's true. Yeah.
How about you?
Well, for me, I think it's got to be. I mean, it's obvious, but it's Star Wars
Jerry
by John
Goldsmith?
Williams.
Oh,
Well,
not Jerry Goldsmith.
I have my personal favorite is Explorers by Jerry Goldsmith, just because I think nothing captures the excitement of being up past your bedtime better than that score. But I think in terms of what is the best score in movie history, I think it's got to be John Williams' Star Wars. It's a landmark, and it made me sit up and pay attention to movie music when I was tiny. So, yeah, it started a lifelong obsession, which you would see if my shelves were here, because they'd be full of scores, but they're not here. So that would be my pick.
Yeah.
But Krull's not a bad pick, Nick. That is probably James Horner's best score, I would say.
It was good. It was a good score.
Nick had a second question as well. And it is, what's your favorite Friday the 13th film in the franchise and why? And then he adds, mine would probably be part 6 for the sheer ridiculousness of it all.
Have you seen many of them, Dan?
Yeah, I'm pretty new to the whole franchise because I previously never liked slasher movies. I have seen 2.5 Friday the 13th movies. I'm still halfway through the third one. I actually, out of those 2.5 that I've seen, I actually did really like the first one because it was not what I expected. It's a different type of movie. It's more like a murder mystery almost. But yeah.
Yeah. Mine would be 4, the final chapter that wasn't the final chapter. Just because, Jason has his mask, the kills are brutal. Corey Feldman hacks off his own hair. Lots of people fly out of windows in slow motion for no reason. And then, of course, you've got Crispin Glover's dancing, which is just
I have to see this
legendary.
film.
It's amazing. I think it's
amazing.
I think it's peak Friday the 13th for me, just in terms of getting the whole, campsite, one person being killed after another thing. And Jason is sort of fully formed and got his mask on, and it's really gory, and Crispin Glover's dancing. It's great.
So it looks like we get a couple of questions from Philip O. Says, you've got the whole afternoon free and there's no pandemic. What dream double feature at the cinema are you going to see?
Tricky.
Yeah, this took me a while to deliberate over, but I would have to say Shaun of the Dead and then Hot Fuzz. Because I'm a huge Edgar Wright fan. And I watched Hot Fuzz when it premiered in New Zealand. And some of the actors were there for like a Q&A afterwards. I had no idea who they were at the time. But yeah, I had a lot of fun. And I do really love his films.
It's a good choice. I mean, one of the things that I missed about being in cinemas was being with a big crowd of people laughing with a movie.
Yeah.
There's nothing quite like it. Watching comedies with a big audience is fun. I always remember seeing South Park, and I think we're far enough into the broadcast for me to say this fully, but when the "Shut Your Fucking Face, Uncle Fucker" song came on, you couldn't hear the film after a while. Just people were having trouble breathing; they were laughing so much.
Okay.
And it's just moments like that you just treasure. So, yeah. But that wouldn't be my choice.
No. Okay.
My choice would probably be to do an Alien and Aliens double bill.
Yeah, I thought about one of the franchises, like Terminator 1, Terminator 2 would be quite good, or even Halloween 1, Halloween 2. That'd be great. But
yeah,
the Aliens franchise for sure.
Yeah, when I could program the films at the Warwick Student Cinema at uni. One of the first things I did was do late night double bills, and one of them was Alien and Aliens, and that thing was sold out. Everybody wanted to go and see that thing. So,
Wow.
yeah, it's great.
So then Philip O also asks, how do you even begin to go about getting such fantastic guests, including the panels you put together for Iconicon this past year?
Well, Conrad, take it away. It's all Conrad and his sneaky ways.
I don't know. I don't know how to describe. I just ask people, and I guess I'm reasonably articulate, and I always try to express to somebody why we would like them as a guest. Not just, hey, your movies are great, would you like to come on our show? I talk to them about why we would like to talk to them about a particular movie. And I always remember at the end of the interview with Robert Picardo when he said to me, I'm late for my dinner, but I didn't mind, because it was a joy to talk to you, because you care and you actually know what you're talking about.
Sure. Yeah.
So I guess that's what I try to convey, that we're invested in them, that we've done our research, that we care about their work as an artist, and we do want to have a conversation with them. And that's why we get so many great returning guests like these two here as well.
Yeah, I took a lot of convincing. It was like every day. I was like, all right, fine. You've convinced me.
Yeah, Conrad is being modest. What they did was they met my feet.
Yes.
The weird thing with Serge being our first guest was we were thinking about we should have a guest on the show, and I thought, well, I want to go with Serge because he's somebody that I can trust. And then afterwards I thought, I actually haven't spoken to this person, so I think that's a credit to the quality of the work that you put out, that you make people feel as though they know you and they can trust that you'll do a good job and be very entertaining while you're doing it. So thanks for being our first guest.
No problem. I had when you first reached out to me via DM, it was I recognized your profile from comments you had made. You had been following me for a while, like on Twitter and stuff. And I don't know, it's weird to think back and like we're friends now and collaborators, but like I don't know, it's just weird that it's like we knew of each other but did not know each other. Anyway. But yeah.
Yeah. I don't know, I just thought this guy's solid. He'll be great.
We've got Right in the Schoolies asks, what is a film that is absolutely awful, but you love it regardless?
Okay. Have you got one?
I don't know. This was really hard because I don't think I love anything that's absolutely awful. It's that saying I've got very high standards. I'm not sure. But there is a series of films, well, it's two films that I didn't mind that everyone does think is awful. The Percy Jackson movies.
Ugh, you're wrong.
I didn't mind them. I didn't mind them, but everyone hates them.
No, you can like whatever you like. I don't care.
for me, and this is something that I think Melinda, who is watching, will either hate me for or love me for. I'm not quite sure her relationship with this movie, but it's Xanadu, which is this hot mess of an 80s, 70s musical with Olivia Newton-John roller skating with oh gosh, what's his name? The famous dancer, Gene Kelly. Sorry, brain fart.
Right.
Yeah, Olivia Newton-John and Gene Kelly roller skating in a musical. And it's just a hot mess, but I just love the ELO songs. I think they're great. So
Sure.
And that's because you
Melinda
hate
is
musicals
saying.
too, right?
Yeah, I know. I hate musicals, but I love this one. I don't know why. Yes, Xanadu. So, okay. So that's mine.
Okay. Louis E. Saavedra asks, "What would be the ultimate lineup of bands / authors in a music concert?"
This was another hard question for me because there's a lot of musicians and artists that I do really love, like, you know, Radiohead and Björk and, I don't know, Foo Fighters and stuff like that. But it's kind of music that I used to listen to. I don't know whether I would see them again now. So for me, it's just a whole bunch of YouTubers that I follow, and they're all synth people, like Andrew Huang and Red Means Recording and Bad Snacks and Rachel K. Collier. Like, I'm just a synth nerd now, and that's what I want to see.
Jean-Michel Jarre.
Yikes.
I've actually seen him live.
Yeah. So, Conrad, how about you?
For me, I think it would be an all-star lineup of amazing women. So I would have Tori Amos there, obviously.
Sure.
Annie Lennox, Kate Bush, even though she doesn't really leave home very often now, bless her. Bjork, and for a more modern reference, Christine and the Queens. Which
Yes. Yeah.
I think is amazing. So
Have you seen that video with Kate Bush making tea? Is that her? It's very odd. She makes tea all wrong.
Does she? What does she do? Does she put the milk in first?
I can't remember, but it's a travesty to watch. Don't watch it. Or do.
Okay.
I don't know.
Turned it off Kate Bush forever. Never again, I said.
It's like a basic British fail. I think you can get deported for making tea wrong.
Yeah.
Wow.
You know how Americans make tea?
You don't, do you?
We dump it in the harbor.
Waste of good tea.
So the next couple questions are also from Louis Saavedra. Ever thought about playing in a band together?
We kind of have.
Kind of. I guess remotely. We've done a lot of music together, and we've got plans for music in the future as well. A few EPs and albums in the works, but yeah, maybe not in a live sense.
No, I can't actually play live. I'm
I'm
a self-taught musician.
Yeah, I'm really bad at live performance as well. Terrible.
Yeah, I have to sequence everything and do it 500 times. I'm not a live musician, sadly. I'm really jealous of people who can jam. I think that's just amazing to watch.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
Then the final question from Louis Saavedra is, if you were to produce a horror or sci-fi film, what would be your dream cast?
Oh, wow.
Okay, my picks. It's just I would like just to see these actors in a movie together. This it would be odd and probably a hot mess, but Jeff Goldblum and Nicolas Cage, and then
Oh, wow.
Oh my god.
then Kristen Wiig, Aquafina, and then Morgan Freeman.
That could happen.
Just see all of them in a film. Go. Let's just see what happens.
Bonsai 2. When is that coming out, dude?
Pretty much, yeah. Wow. Netflix is already dialing them now. That sounds great. I want to see that movie.
Yeah. How about you?
My answer's really boring. My answer was just that I'd love to get all the final girls of the 70s and 80s together in one Uber movie. So Sigourney Weaver, Heather Langenkamp, Jamie Lee Curtis, Nev Campbell, and as an honorary guy, Bruce Campbell as the only final guy in any franchise of note. So I'm probably missing quite a few though, but yeah.
That would be amazing, actually. Yeah. It'll be like the Expendables for Scream Queens.
Yes. Yes.
The next question is from FM Gore Kelly, which is, are you guys excited for the Willow TV series? And then, full disclosure, I am.
I wouldn't say excited. Cautiously optimistic. I mean, Disney Plus. Did anybody see that Boba Fett series?
I didn't.
Call him out, dude.
I mean,
You mean the very long episode of The Mandalorian?
yeah, with the Power Rangers on scooters. What? Oh,
Power Rangers have better vehicles than that, dude. Come on. Don't disrespect
that's
the Power
true.
Rangers.
that's very true. Yeah, I'm cautiously optimistic just because of the people involved. I mean, Warwick Davis is involved, and he has, that character is very close to his heart because that was his first lead role after being stuffed in a furry suit for years. So I'm interested to see what they do with it. I'm cautiously optimistic, but I think it will miss Val Kilmer because I can't imagine he'll be able to participate, bless him.
No.
And he was such an important part of the movie. So, yeah, I don't know. Cautiously optimistic. We'll wait and see.
So then, the next user is named Well Then Let's See.
Okay.
You're making that up.
I am not. They ask, Milo and Otis, greatest buddy movie of all time?
I can't comment. I haven't seen it.
Ooh.
I have seen it. Didn't you tell me they killed a whole bunch of animals making that movie? Or
That's what I've
something?
heard.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yikes.
The ASPCA was not on set.
oh.
In terms of best buddy movie, I would say Hot Fuzz for me because I've already mentioned it.
Okay.
It's very good. It's very good.
It's good.
Mine would be Paul Dano as a shipwrecked man and Daniel Radcliffe as a flatulent corpse.
Swiss Army
So
Man.
Swiss Army Man. It is
Have
such
you
a
seen
good
Everything
movie.
Everywhere yet? It just
I
came out
haven't,
here in the
no.
States. Oh
No.
my God, Conrad, you're in for a treat.
I
yes.
fell in love with the trailer, so yeah, I cannot wait. But Swiss Army Man was amazing, and Daniel Radcliffe. I mean, I hate to say it's the best performance he's ever done because he's dead in the whole movie. But it is very, very good.
It's the oddest premise for a film I've ever seen. It's so strange.
Beautifully weird. Beautifully
And
weird.
and the score is amazing, but
Yeah,
weird. It's
Yes.
it's just was it Jurassic? It's a Jurassic Park. They just
like-
sing
yes, a
themes
cappella.
Yeah. Acapella. Mouth sounds.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it has to be
Crazy.
seen to be believed. If you haven't seen it out there, it's worth a watch.
Yeah, I guess when it played at Sundance the first time, everyone was walking out because it was just like, we can't do this. Like the fart jokes were too much. But wow,
Yeah.
such a good movie.
It is very good.
So the next batch of questions, we have 7 questions from Melinda. And number 1 is, who would be your dream celebrity guest and why?
Oof.
So many though.
know.
Director for me, I'd love Terry Gilliam. I think that would be amazing. I mean, I just love all his movies. I think for just an experience, Jeff Goldblum. Although we probably it wouldn't be a very coherent or focused discussion.
No, but it would be funny.
Yeah.
It would be very funny. For me, I mean, if you're going to shoot for the stars, let's get Steven Spielberg on. Because actually he has an encyclopedic knowledge of film, and I'm sure he would come out with something really obscure that I would just sit back and listen to him talk about it for 40 minutes. He'd be amazing. So that would be mine. Either that or Guillermo del Toro, who is just such a great filmmaker, but also just such a lovely guy. I think that would be a fun conversation.
Yes. I would kill a man to meet Guillermo del Toro in real life. That dude's so great. I love him.
He is.
Question 2 is, what was the hardest movie you've had to watch so far, and why?
There are 3 movies that come to mind. So extra the stuff, but I think the hardest movie to watch for me was Ewoks Battle for Endor. Because we had to watch the first one as well, just to understand the second one. And that's just torture. Torture watching those movies.
I've written exactly the same thing. Yeah. Yeah.
Didn't Matt love those movies too?
Yeah, Matt Conley did
Matt
love
Conley.
it. Yeah.
Yeah, the community director at Hit Record. So one of our former bosses came on the show to talk about his deep and abiding love for the Ewoks movies. And we trashed it. And he was such a good sport about it. But I loved the fact that after we delivered our final verdict, he just said, "Fuck you guys."
Yeah.
Only time that's happened on the pod, but I loved it.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's interminable. That first one is like watching paint dry, but with freaky, unblinking Ewok eyes.
Yeah, and ad breaks as well.
Oh,
really bad.
terrible. Yeah.
Question 3 is, what movie that's outside your stated genres would you love to cover, but you can't because it's a Western, a romance, action movie, etc.?
Or a Western.
We're a Western, yeah. I couldn't answer this movie. I don't think there is anything. I don't know. I just really love covering genre films. I think they're more interesting to talk about.
Yeah. I mean, my guess is probably pretty obvious. I'd love to talk to Dan about 1917. But I mean, it's because Dan doesn't watch war movies very much.
Yeah, I still haven't seen it. I still haven't seen 1917, and it is on Netflix right now, where I am. But yeah, I don't know. War movies, gangster movies, westerns, and sport movies. I just don't watch.
Yeah.
I can't. I just don't know. It just doesn't appeal.
No, that's fair enough.
So
I would love to talk to you about it.
Question 4 is, what movie was the biggest surprise to you? Like you thought it was going to be one thing, but it turned out to be something completely different.
I have a good answer for this. It was relatively recently as well. Episode 85, Reign of Fire, which I looked at it and I thought, it's an early noughties toxic masculinity festival, and I'm going to hate it with a passion. And it actually engages with the nature of heroism in some pretty interesting ways and thought-provoking ways, and has interesting arcs for all of its characters. So, and the effects really stand up well even to today, just because of the way that they're used. It's well directed. So I was not expecting it. I thought this is just some straight to rental early noughties garbage fest, but I loved it. I really enjoyed it.
Didn't you say that there was a trailer in the UK that was terrible for it?
Yeah, there was.
Oh, the trailer's really bad. Yeah.
Yeah, I think Isaac shared it on our socials. It is bad. See, I watched the trailer to see what we were in for, and I thought, oh God.
Well, I mean, my choice would be sort of the other reaction, polar opposite. I expected Doomsday to be, I guess, better than what it was. Or just like, I thought it was going to be a zombie movie with like pretty much Resident Evil in the UK. but there were like punks, and then they went to the Knights of the Round Table era with swords, and then it was Mad Max at the end. It was just such an odd film.
Yeah, it was. And who's that directed by? Neil Marshall. So yeah, I was expecting something quite different and really good. We threw that one back.
What about Ghost of
And it was
Mars?
awkward because I was actually discussing with Mr. Marshall about appearing on our show at the time.
Yes.
And he stopped talking to us.
Yeah.
So I don't know whether he listened to the episode and was a bit upset with us or disappointed with our treatment of it. Sorry, Mr. Marshall. Still would really like to talk to you because you do make great movies and great episodes of Game of Thrones. That one just didn't work for us. Sorry.
Question 5 is: what are some sound design or score issues that annoy you to death, but non-musicians don't seem to notice?
I guess not a sound issue, but a sound trope. Is guns make far too much noise. When you just pick up a gun, it's just a big rattling fest of clanks and clicks. It's like, surely guns aren't that noisy.
You'd hope not. I mean, I'd be severely worried about pulling the trigger, the amount of noise they make before you even cock the damn thing.
Yeah.
For me, it's reusing musical cues from other movies because I recognize them.
Yeah.
I think, what's that doing in this movie? It pulls me right out of it, so it really bugs me when that happens. And it happens a lot.
The scream cues in Halloween H20.
Yeah.
Did y'all see Wonder Woman 84 or whatever, where they take the sunshine Kaneda's death scene and put it over her flying? What the heck?
Yeah, but that cue pops up in Kiss Ass as well. But it's the same composer, so it's like, is it plagiarism if he's doing it himself?
Yes.
Yes. I mean, I'd say it's disappointing for a composer to repeat himself, but it's probably because the director told him to. I know what that's like, so. Yeah.
Question 6 of 7 is what do you both? That wasn't meant to be shade. I'm just. Anyway, what do you both think of the idea that if studios must keep rebooting movies, they should reboot bad movies? And if you were going to reboot a bad movie to make it better, which movie that you've reviewed in the show would you choose? That's a good question.
It's a very good question.
I think we've covered a lot of potentially good movies, just badly executed. Like the recent one, Lawnmower Man, I think was a good premise, just really badly executed. And Mirror Mask, I thought could have been way better than what it was. I still think it's a good movie, but I think it's because of the source material and the fact that it's Neil Gaiman. But yeah, it could have been better.
Yeah. Another one I thought of, you've mentioned it before, The Stuff, which I think there is a scary, satirical, amazing movie in there somewhere. And there are elements of it there. And I know there are lots of people that appreciate the ramshackle, crazy nature of it, but I would just love to see a new independent filmmaker turn it into something really biting and funny and terrifying. There's a lot of potential there.
Yes.
And just as a quick gag, because I have to mention it, Lady Hawk, but all I would do is just replace the score.
All the red-tailed hawks.
Yes, those two. Sorry, had to mention that.
And then the 7th question, if you were to come and visit me, Melinda, what delicious treat would you like to have waiting for you?
I don't know. Whatever is the delicious treat of wherever you live. That.
You're after a bit of culinary tourism there, Dan.
Yeah. I do like to have whatever is traditional of that area. Like when I went to Scotland, I had haggis 3 times. So and one of them was on pizza. So yeah, I'm a big proponent of local cuisine.
That sounds insane.
I don't think even Scottish people do that. It's very brave, very brave. I follow Melinda on Facebook, and I've seen her cookies. So I would like a veganized version of the chocolate coconut cookies that she made for Election Day, because I don't think we should have to wait for democracy to fall apart to have chocolate and coconut together in cookie form. So that would be my pick.
So then we've got 2 questions left. Next, this one's from Kevin from Planet X. If your next episode were your last, which movie would you choose to discuss and why?
Gosh.
Oof. Well, okay, so I would pick. This might sound a bit pretentious, but I would pick Metropolis, the silent black and white. Is it German? Sort of sci-fi, steampunky Art Deco film. I don't know. I think it would be a really interesting movie to talk about, and because it's so old but so influential in terms of sci-fi.
Yeah, that's a good choice. I went for the personal route. I would say The Talented Mr. Ripley, although that would be tricky because it's an Anthony Minghella movie, and it was a pretty big hit at the time. I think it's been forgotten since, or overlooked since, compared to The English Patient. But it's a thriller, so I think we could do it, and it touches on some emotional things that resonate with me personally. And I also think the music is pretty amazing in that movie. So yeah, I'd like to talk about that one with you.
That movie, I loved that movie when I first saw it. It's one of those movies that it's really good, but you kind of don't want to watch it again because you just feel so icky inside.
Yeah.
And they did a couple of like sequels, I guess, to it as well. There's one with John Malkovich. That's really odd.
Okay.
Yeah. It's not bad.
It's okay.
It's hard to find, that one.
Yeah, it's a different movie. It doesn't even feel like it's the same universe.
No, I'd like to get Matt Damon back to do the last book in the series, The Boy Who Followed Ripley, where the situation that's in The Talented Mr. Ripley is reversed on him as an older man. That's really interesting.
That's sick.
Yeah.
That sounds great, actually.
Yeah.
And then final question is from Hannah. It's from the films you've covered on the podcast, which of those film worlds would you like to live in?
This is hard because most of the worlds that in the films that we watch are pretty awful.
Yeah. I was gonna say,
Not like
I wouldn't pick
Doomsday.
any of none of the horror films. I don't think. I don't really want to have a psycho killer after me.
Black Sheep.
Yeah.
Well, that's
Rabid
New Zealand.
animals.
That's just going home.
Yeah. I would pick Inner Space because I'd just like to zoom around in a little submarine in a human body, and yeah, that would be fun.
That's a good choice. I like that. I went for, it's pretty nihilistic, I went for Night of the Comet. Just because the idea of wandering around a depopulated 80s world and bumping into people like Sam and Reggie and Hector doesn't seem so bad to me. I know it's a bit Thanos-ish to sort of wish 90% of the population away, but I think it could be quite nice.
I did
and lots
think
of great 80s clothes too.
Yeah, I did think as a possible second choice was that film that we did with you, Serge, the New Zealand film, Quiet Earth. Just because I don't like people, and just drive around going to whatever shops and just take whatever I wanted. That'd be nice.
Yeah, I was gonna say about like 25 minutes of that movie. It seems kind of nice.
Yeah, but then he's just sort of rolling around in a negligee, trying to shoot himself.
I mean, no judgment.
Yeah.
No.
We've all been through the ringer the last 2 years.
Yes. So, yeah, the pandemic was good training for that. That's a great question, Hannah. Thanks for that.
There is one last question on the list. If I don't know if we're good on time, but it's just and it's for me, but it's any plans for the next 100 episodes?
Oh wow.
Besides having me back 4 more times.
Of course. Of course. That's without saying. I don't know. Just more of the same, I guess.
Yeah.
We might get a taste for live streaming if this goes well.
Yeah.
So we might do this more often.
Yeah, I mean, just like more higher profile guests, I guess. And I mean, if we're talking about what our dreams for the pod would be, it would be good if we could do this full time, and have like distributors just send us movies for free to review. That would be great.
Yeah, to be top of the iTunes and Spotify charts and movie reviews and millions of followers. That would be amazing. But I have to say, in 100 episodes, we've had some amazing guests, and we've developed a really great audience of people. And some of you guys are watching live now, and it's all of your comments that you send through. It's great. We've developed this little community, and I'd be quite happy to carry on until I'm withering and old and grey, sitting in a chair watching movies and just talking to Dan about them. It's been great.
It has been, yeah. Doing all those jingles. So many jingles.
So many jingles. We must have done 200, 300 jingles now.
Y'all have to release a best hits album of just the jingles.
Just the jingles? Just like 10-second snippets of
Here's 100 jingles.
Jingles episode.
Just jingles.
Wow.
Something to think about for sure. Okay. Well, thanks for doing that for us, Serge. It's been great to have you here.
Thanks for having
as
me.
our compare. So, and I think that's our show, isn't it, Dan?
Oh, results of the poll?
Oh, gosh, yes. So the poll has been running. Let me just refresh that screen and see how it's doing. Wow, it looks like it's Conquest of Space at 68% there.
Okay.
I was not expecting that. I thought everyone would be after the Anthony Hopkins 70s Possession movie, but there we go. We're going to be going back to the 50s, Dan. We wanted to do a wider time span.
Yes.
This year.
Is it black? It's black and white, right?
It is, yeah. So that's brilliant. Thanks for everyone for voting.
Yeah.
Can't wait to do that.
Yes. Thanks everyone for voting. Well, I guess that's the show. Thank you again, Serge and Isaac, for joining us. Where can our viewers, listeners follow you on your channels? Serge. Isaac. Isaac, go first. Isaac.
Yeah, there we go. Save the best for last. You can hit me up on Twitter at Isaac Last Name. I also just released like 12 blog posts about my favorite media from 2021. I'm really timely on that sucker. You know, April's the best time to release stuff like that. So you can see all of my thoughts on film and anime and music at www.isaacsutton.com. So, or actually, I think it's isaac.lastname.com. It's isaacsuttonreal.com. So, appreciate y'all giving me that plug space.
So why do we have to be careful when we're searching for your YouTube channel, Isaac?
I think this is on one of my episodes. So for some reason, there's another guy named Isaac Last Name on the internet who is into male pregnancy porn. Don't check him out. He posts stuff to YouTube. He can't get flagged. I don't know how to get ahead of him in subscribers. It's a truly
I didn't even know
horrific
this was a
thing.
thing. I'm such a child, naive when it comes to these things.
That's not Conrad. Nobody should know this is a thing. Okay, not to shame, but it's a hard watch and difficult to have your name associated with. So, you know.
Okay, so be careful searching for Isaac out there.
Be careful.
Yes.
You'll see my mug pasted on pretty much everything I'm associated with. So if it has a big male belly, that one's not me.
Oh no.
Okay. And Serge.
Well, so my professional handle is Cold Crash Pictures. On Twitter, it has to be shortened to Cold Crash Pics, but everywhere else, it's called the full Cold Crash Pictures. Make video. YouTube is where I post my video essays. I'm at about once every 8 weeks right now. But the videos are getting longer and I think better, which hopefully explains the 2-month gap between video essays.
Cold Crash Pictures rules. I love that freaking YouTube channel.
Thank you.
It's fantastic.
And those of you that don't know, we are Movie Oubliette everywhere on all channels, and you can support us at Patreon as well. And yeah, I mean, we'll have probably the links in the description below. So yes, thanks again to everyone that has joined us on this stream for our 100th episode.
Yeah.
Woo!
Thanks everybody for commenting. Thanks, yep, it's been great. Bye for now, I guess.
Yeah.
Bye.
Okay.
Until
Bye,
next
everyone.
time. Goodbye.
Yeah.